A beautiful girl was brought in to serve the perverted and despicable gentleman of the kingdom of Lydia. Of course, she refused to be humiliated. She tried to resist, but the camp commander approached and forced her. She took photos of the girl to send back to headquarters, thinking to herself, "This tasty catch will definitely fetch a high price." Seizing the moment while the woman was lost in her wicked thoughts, Daka bit her hand, snatched the phone, and fled. As she ran, she tried to unlock the phone to rescue the other prisoners, as the master key was stored in that beloved device. Unfortunately, the cunning woman had installed voice authentication, forcing Daka to try out every one of the woman's 7,749 creepy voice tones. She finally succeeded in unlocking the cells. In an instant, the prison doors swung open. Daka called out for everyone to rise up and escape with her. Chaos broke out. The guards gave fierce chase. Cornered, Daka desperately ran into a special cell she had never seen before. Just as the pursuers caught up and were about to seize her again, she accidentally pressed a button, opening a peculiar steel cage. Inside was a strange man, looking like an ancient Egyptian mummy. He let out a terrifying roar, then with a single motion, broke all the chains restraining him and burst free. While the confused guards hesitated on whether to report this to headquarters, he charged forward, pinned one guard to the ground, and ended him with a sharp short sword. The second guard, horrified by the brutal scene, turned to flee, only to take a fatal strike straight to the forehead. The last one attempted to draw his gun to shoot, but the stranger struck his chest before he could pull the trigger. Daka, witnessing this inhuman bloodshed that unfolded in a flash, was paralyzed with fear. She saw him approaching with the gun in his hand. She wanted to beg him to calm down and listen, but her mouth was too dry to form words. All she could do was stare at the gun now aimed at her. A gunshot rang out. Daka either passed out from fear or shock, but it turned out the bullet was meant to free her by shooting the chain from her hand. He only wanted to help. But seriously, did he have to make such a terrifying face to scare a girl like that? With all the prisoners now free, the entire detention complex fell into total chaos. Shouts, screams, and panic everywhere. At the National Security Bureau, Chief Yamato and Deputy Chief Juki received an urgent report. They summoned the Capital Security Bureau's elite team to investigate and take swift action. Recapture Adonis, the only remaining disciple of the witch who had been imprisoned for 10 years. Adonis was back, and stronger than ever. After years of being subjugated by his own kind, his hands still clutched the feather pen Chloe had once given him. He raised his gun and fired a magic bullet, infused with summoning magic. The spell created a giant bullet that embedded itself into a skyscraper several kilometers away. His eyes, staring into the distance, grew colder and more terrifying by the second. At the detention center, the elite agents cleaned up the prisoners but couldn't find Adonis anywhere. They quickly reported the situation and prepared to leave the filthy place. But wait, first, they had to deal with the utterly useless camp commanders. The worthless deserved death. On the rooftop, Daka looked at the enormous bullet and was filled with regret and guilt for not being able to stop him. At the same time, News was spreading across the streets about what had just happened. Adonis walked forward, deep in thought about his horrifying plan. Make him give up? That humiliation my sister suffered 10 years ago still feels like it happened yesterday. Humanity will pay for that pain. Then, using summoning magic again, he called forth a massive armored titan that began destroying the city. People called the police, but the operator thought they were just high on drugs and speaking nonsense, until a car crashed into the police station in panic. The driver, babbling about a giant man, forced the officer to go out and check. And there it was. Panicking, the officer immediately called the National Security Bureau to report the disaster. Civilians were screaming, crying, and fleeing in chaos. Above, Adonis controlled the giant, guiding it straight toward the royal palace to take revenge on Emperor Zen. The royal soldiers still believed it was a robot sent by a neighboring country. Inside the palace, people worried that the defenses wouldn't hold, especially since the emperor was unwell. Everything now depended on Chief Yamato. Yamato immediately formed a response unit and dispatched the Air Force. If needed, he would call in the armored infantry. Watching from afar, Yamato admired the precision with which the robot was controlled. Deputy Chief Juki, standing beside him, had just received intel that the boy with the feather pen had vanished, likely using summoning magic to control the robot. If that's true, then this is good, Yamato said, and ordered scientific anti-magic devices to be deployed, just as they had once used against Chloe. He then handed off command to Juki. Back in the city, people screamed in despair as death followed the Titans' every step. The army mobilized the 4th Defense Line, deploying tanks ready to fire at Adonis. But no matter how many times they shot, they couldn't hit the giant. It was as if Adonis had used magic to divert every bullet. Now it was payback time. He made the giant throw a punch, obliterating a nearby building. The flying debris shattered the tank battalion. Facing their advanced weapons, Adonis felt glad that he had never stopped studying during his 10-year imprisonment. He had studied magic in his mind, mastering the only way a non-witch human could use it, summoning technique. It was extremely difficult to learn. Without a great teacher, a year or 10 would make no difference. If only I had killed Chloe, the symbol of their so-called justice, back then.